Now we'll look at the innovation process at the industry level, using insights from a classic book, Mastering the Dynamics of Innovation by James Utterback. He sets out 3 stages to the innovation process. And really, we're looking at where product innovation gives way to a dominant design, and then you're working on process innovation as it matures. So in the fluid phase, you see a highly turbulent marketplace with some level of uncertainty in product outcome. Product change is expected to be rapid. And here you see new product technology can often be crude, expensive, and unreliable, but nonetheless able to fulfill a function that's important for at least a niche market if you can figure out what that niche market is. So I'll reach way back in my career to the early explorations of voice recognition, which was terrible at the outset. And one of the first applications was distinguishing numbers. So you can hear this still in effect, of course, as you recite numbers into all sorts of phone-based applications. And the systems are now quite good at figuring out whether you said 2 or 3, and they're really smart about noticing that 0 and O are the same when you give your zip code or whatever. But at the beginning, the technology was terrible, but if you could just get it reliably across different people and different voices without training to distinguish those essentially 10 words, you had a commercially viable, useful niche where you could apply this nascent technology and give it a chance to make enough money to learn and grow. So that's an example of a really well-chosen niche market. The transitional phase shows growing interest for the new product and a broader market acceptance and adoption of the innovation. You tend to get emergence of some kind of dominant design. Product and process innovations may be more closely linked, but you get stuck a little bit where changes in the product can become more costly and difficult to accommodate. The specific phase, products here become highly defined, and the differences between competitors' products can become fewer with more similarities. So you can say, well, that's just so generic, it doesn't really matter which USB plug you get. They're all pretty much the same. It even doesn't really matter which phone you get. They're all pretty much the same. So it's commoditized. Nobody really worries about which one. The brands are no longer different enough for anybody to care. Quality to cost ratio, you gain in that marketplace by being more efficient and cheaper, better, faster, cheaper. The cheaper part gains in importance over the better and even the faster. So changes in either product or process are likely to be more difficult and expensive, although note that digital design can upend this assumption a bit because it's easier to switch if you don't have to retool your entire production line in order to make a little change in the product. Dominant designs for innovations in a product class, they usually synthesize individual technological innovations or features that were introduced in prior product variants. And competitors will tend to adhere to the dominant design if they want to have a customer base. So every entrant in the phone business is, of course, going to have a camera included and all of the usual bells and whistles. And at the point where you can say that, you see that innovation has kind of flattened out. Dominant designs will gain allegiance in the marketplace. You'll get some levels of not even necessarily brand loyalty, but loyalty to a particular design set of choices. So this process perspective makes it possible to see a broad pattern of how an innovative product fits into an industry-level process of change and competition. And understanding the features of what the dominant design for an innovation are can reveal the potential competitiveness of a given innovative product, depending, of course, on what stage in innovation you are in that particular marketplace.